Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture. Today we're doing it's a pretty short little game, a quick review of an old game, Warlocks and Warriors from TSR 1977. So what do we get inside this box? Well, first let's look at the box because, well, in the back you can kind of see what we get. And you can also see this is a pretty damaged box. But I got this at a pretty good price. So I'll give you a little idea of what this thing looks like. And you saw me looking to the side because I was looking at my camera instead of right at you because I am a professional. So what do we got? We got a game for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 years and up. And it's pretty darn simple. We got a few little goodies that we're going to play the game with. We got an instruction booklet, and when I say booklet, I mean, well, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot there. And we got a board, or shall I say maybe like more like a mat. It's not a hard board like you get in some board games. So let's take a look at what that looks like, and we'll talk a little bit about the rules. And here, folks, is that board that I talked about, although, like I said, not technically a board, but it's on pretty thick paper. I don't think you'll have too many problems. It lays pretty flat. You know, maybe a piece, if it's right on the edge, could move a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be a major problem in the game. Now, the introduction to the game. This exciting game enables the players, either as Warlocks or as Warriors, to use magical enchantments and superb swordplay to escort the beautiful Princess Sharana from the seaport, right here, to her castle. The king has promised half his kingdom to the one who can successfully return his daughter to him. The way to the castle lies across dismal swamps, over parched deserts, and mysterious mountains, through ancient ruins with all their threats, into lost dungeons where danger lurks, as well as the dragon's lair and the dreaded demon maze. The game can be played by 2 to 6 players. More players can be added without difficulty, which I think is probably true. So, everybody starts off, you pick your little token, whatever color you want, and you choose to be a warrior or a warlock. Now, that doesn't actually mean anything unless you use the optional rule, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Other than that, it's just sort of for fun. You can be whichever one you want to be. The white token is the princess. And so she will accompany the lead player. Who's the lead player? Well, everybody rolls the dice. Oh, 11, that's not too bad. Whoever rolls highest gets to start first with the princess. Now, we'll say that this guy has the princess to start off with. We'll put these two over here as well, and we'll move everybody else out of the way. So very simple. You start off, you roll your dice. I got a 7. You got to move at least that many spaces. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that actually worked out nice. Now the princess goes with me. We can move those two on the seaport. So in the course of your adventures through here, in order to win the game, you have to visit the ancient ruins, the demon maze, the lost dungeon, and the dragon's lair. You don't have to have the princess with you while you're doing that. So this character who has the princess, he's got to get to those places as well. And where are those places? Well, let's see. Here's the lost dungeon, for example. So you got to get to these square spaces. So he's got to be trying to get there. In the meantime, your guy could be trying to get there as well, and then maybe steal the princess later. How do you steal the princess? We'll get to that in just a moment. But you got to move whatever you roll, and you can't go back and forth. You got to do straight. Okay, so that limits you just a little bit. Now you will see that this guy has landed on a space with a star. What does the star mean? It means I can cast a spell. Now, if you're not using the optional rule, that means that either the warrior or the warlock can cast a spell. What you do with that spell is you force another player on the board to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces in any direction that you want. So we could say I cast my spell on yellow, and he has to move 3 spaces over here. If you land on an arrow, you have to move 2 spaces in the direction in which it is pointing. And if you land on this little thing here with an X, it means you have to take a detour. This one says go to the tavern. There is the tavern. And once you get to that tavern, you lose a turn. All right, pretty simple, right? And you see a few other places. Parched desert, lose 1 turn. So there's some instructions, right? So again, part of the game is, in order to win, you have to make it to all 4 of these square spaces. When you get to that space, you have to roll the dice, and you check out what's on here. Now, I rolled a 12. I'm rolling really well with these things. On the Lost Dungeon, let's say I've made it over here to the Lost Dungeon. You are guided by a friendly pixie. Leave by 3 spaces. So I can maybe go 1, 2, 3. Okay. So you get the basic idea. You're moving around. You're trying to get to these spaces. And eventually you want to get to this castle. But there's another aspect to this game, and that is duels. So if another player lands on top of you, a duel is fought. Both players roll the dice. Greenie there got an 8. My dude got a 4. Uh-oh. That means I have just lost the duel. Okay? That means that, for one thing, I get to take the princess away from, well, the green gets to take the princess away from the guy who has her at the moment. And I move then out of the space with the princess 1 space, and I move the loser of the duel the other direction. Okay? So now you're going, well, you're still pretty close. Granted, you are, and there's going to probably be a chase involved, but you got to move the maximum number of spaces when you move. So I could get away, he could end up moving way ahead of me. I could maybe move the other direction. There's a little bit of that. And you see there are different, there's different ways you can move around things. So there's a little bit of, tactics, a little bit of strategy in that. So each of these square spaces has their own little thing you got to roll on to see what happens to you. Okay, what about this optional rule? Well, the optional rule changes things up a little bit. When you choose to be a warrior or warlock, you get slightly different abilities in the game. If you choose to be the warlock, you may add 1 spot to your dice total when you fight a duel, but only when it takes place in a space with a star in it. Okay? And you're the only ones who can use spells when you get to a place with a star in it. For the warrior, you can't do the spells anymore, but you get to add 1 spot to your dice total when you fight a duel, unless it's in a space with a star in it. So generally speaking, the warriors are going to be better at fighting almost everywhere. But then the warlock has, he's good on these spaces with the stars. There's quite a few of those spaces, but I don't know. I'd probably go with the warrior on that one. I think it would probably come in handy a little bit more. And that's basically the game. But there is one other cool thing to bring up here. The game design is by Gardner Fox. Yeah, the guy that created the Justice Society of America and really the Justice League of America as well. Wrote some fun fantasy novels. Kind of cool that he was involved with TSR at this stage of things. Gardner Fox always struck me as a guy who was, a creative guy, but a fan of all this fantasy and science fiction, all this other good stuff as well. Development was by Brian Bloom and James Ward. Graphics from David Sutherland, Brian Bloom, and Gardner Fox. All right. That, folks, is Warlocks and Warriors from 1977. A very simple game. And I think it probably ranks along, the beer and pretzel sort of games where you get a bunch of friends around, you're going to be drinking, you're going to be joking, you're going to be talking, and you're going to be playing the game as well. It could potentially run a while if you're stealing the princess back and forth. But if it ends up being kind of a short game, you play it again. And definitely something that the kids could play with you because it's pretty simple rules when you get right down to it. Warlocks and Warriors, not one of the better known games that TSR did, and probably because it is on the simpler side of things. You'd have Dungeon coming along, and Dungeon was a little more immersive game. But I think this is a really cool game. Love the old school graphics that you got. Love the design here on this. There's our princess, one assumes. Fun little game, but again, definitely one that's not overtaxing to your mind, so you can have a little fun, outside of the game while you're playing the game. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Play some Warriors and Warlocks, or really play anything. Get friends, get family together, get the kids involved. Gather around the table, play a game, have a good time. It really helps, helps create family bonds and great memories. And I will see you again hopefully soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.